Hey guys, Bharadwaj with Phone Arena here, and you are watching the comparison between the Samsung Galaxy Grand Duos versus the Samsung Galaxy Note 2. Yes, we know that it is not a fair comparison, but having placed in the market as a lower mid-range phablet with a huge fine screen, the Galaxy Grand has to live up to its bigger brother's name. So does it? That's what we are going to see it right away. So coming to the comparison, on the face value, if you take a look at these two devices, they look almost the same. When we say almost, it is actually the same in terms of design, that is. So on the front you can see that there is a huge screen, the curves on the rounded corners, and of course even the placement of the earpiece, the proximity and the ambient light sensors, the front facing camera, the physical home button, everything looks exactly the same, save for some design differences in the home button of the Galaxy Grand. Otherwise it looks exactly the same, and even on the sides you can see they both are really the same with flat sides. And the back is slightly different, but that is due to the inclusion of the stylus here and the loudspeaker here. Otherwise it looks almost the same. And on this side too you can see that it's almost exactly the same on the top as well and on the bottom as well. Well, both are Samsung devices, so what can you expect? It's the same, of course. So there is not much differences when it comes to design, but there are differences when it comes to the build. The Galaxy Note 2 has a much better build quality for its price, with a polycarbonate glaze on its back, just like the Galaxy S3, providing a better feel and of course a grippier feel thanks to the polycarbonate glaze. On the other hand, you have the Galaxy Grand, which feels nice, really nice, but then it is just plastic with a slightly less glossier version, and there is a subtle pattern to it. With respect to design, we really like the subtle pattern on the back of the Galaxy Grand, but in terms of ergonomics, we think the Note 2 is better in terms of hold, and the feel is much better too. So when you talk about the build quality, it's almost the same. Both are plastic. But when you talk about the ergonomics of both these devices, we feel that the Galaxy Grand, even with its huge 5-inch screen, is more pocketable and more handy than the 5.5-inch behemoth that the Galaxy Note 2 is. If I'm using the Galaxy Grand, I can reach the notification center really easily, but on the other hand it's really tough. So I have to stretch my hand, I have to move my hand on the front to reach the notification center. So the ergonomics is pretty bad on the Note 2, but the Galaxy Grand just manages to reach that optimum level in which you can use the smartphone on a daily basis without any discomfort. So that's about the design, build and ergonomics of both these devices. So let's take a look at the dimensions then. This is 9.4 millimeters thick, while the Galaxy Grand is 9.6 millimeters thick. But you can't really notice much of a difference when you compare them side by side, as I am showing you here. But when it comes to weight, the Note 2 is comfortably 20 grams heavier than the Galaxy Grand. But when you take them in each of your hands, which feels heavier? You'll be surprised to know that the Galaxy Grand feels heavier than the Note 2, and we attribute it to the surface area of the Note 2, which distributes the weight evenly, other than the Galaxy Grand, which is smaller, hence contributing for more of the weight on the center. So we think that's not going to be a major deal breaker for anyone looking at both of these devices. But then let's proceed with the other things. So now we come to the important part, The display, of course. The Note 2 completely demolishes the Galaxy Grand in this department with a 5.5-inch 720p display and with around 267 ppi of pixel density. It's a 720p panel at 16:9 aspect ratio and is a Super AMOLED display. While on the other hand, you have a 186 ppi toting 5-inch WVGA display which has a 15:10 aspect ratio, and the display is really poor. It's a LCD display rather than the Super AMOLED on the Galaxy Note 2. So no comparison here. The display on the Grand is really bad in terms of reading, but the colors and the brightness are pretty good, and we definitely sort of tend to like the LCD's color reproduction more than the Super AMOLED because these are unreal but definitely gorgeous to look at. So no comparison there. The Note 2 is definitely better. But then we also have other factors to consider, irrespective of the display, that is. So regarding the internals, which again Note 2's area of expertise is, the Note 2 is running on Exynos 4412 quad-core processor running at 1.6 GHz, and it has twice the amount of RAM as the Galaxy Grand, which is 2 GB, and has twice the amount of internal storage than the Galaxy Grand at the starting price, which is 16 GB. So again, a demolition there. But just for the sake of information, the Galaxy Grand has a Broadcom BCM28155 processor, which is also 1.2 GHz dual-core processor, while this is a quad-core processor. And both are based on the ARM Cortex A9 architecture, while this has the Mali 404 or some very powerful GPU. This has the Video Core 4 GPU from Broadcom. Thanks to the 800 by 480 resolution, most games run brilliantly on the Galaxy Grand Duos, and the performance in general is almost on par with Galaxy S3 and the Galaxy Note 2, of course. I don't see any difference in the performance when it comes to day-to-day usage. So there, the Galaxy Grand lives up to its big brother in the performance area. So coming to the other aspects of the hardware, both have micro SD slots, while the Grand Duos has dual SIM support. If you open the back, you can see there are two slots for the dual SIMs. So these are mini SIMs, unlike the micro SIMs on the Galaxy Note 2. So that's a bit of a difference. Not a major difference, but only when you are looking at consuming two SIMs at the same time, then the Galaxy Grand Duos is the only phablet that you can get with dual SIM support. So other than that, on the front you have the front facing cameras. So the Galaxy Grand has a 2 megapixel front facing camera, and the Galaxy Note 2 has a 1.9 megapixel front facing camera. The quality on both these are vastly different. The Galaxy Grand Duos is not too great, but the Galaxy Note 2's front camera is really good. And the 8 megapixel back camera on both, again there is no competition. What you expect is probably right. This is much better than this. Yes, the Note 2 has a great camera, which is the same as the one on the S3, while the Grand has a very decent camera. It's really good, not too great, not too bad. So again, in terms of cameras, we think the Grand lives up to its brother's name. The camera is pretty good, but only thing we noticed is the audio. While recording video 1080p on both these cases, the audio recorded on the Grand is pretty distorted. This might be due to the lack of a secondary microphone that is located on the Note 2 on the front, if you can see right there. So that is missing on the Galaxy Grand. So that might be the reason for poor performance in audio during video recording. So that's about the cameras. Otherwise, we have nothing left but the software. Almost the same software running on both these devices, Android 4.1.2 Jelly Bean with TouchWiz Nature UX, along with all the features you will need here. So the multi-screen option you can see right here on the Galaxy Note 2 as well as the Galaxy Grand. So both work great, but of course due to the 5.5-inch screen on the Note 2, you will get more real estate to work with, but otherwise most features are very similar on both these devices, almost the same I would say. But the only major difference in software as well as the hardware is the S Pen, of course. If you're looking at using a stylus, then of course you have only the Note 2 to choose from, which works great, and that stylus is definitely a disruption that Samsung brought forward with the original Galaxy Note. So that might not be a huge thing that most people miss, but if you're looking at consuming various content, consuming and creating various content, mainly creating of course, you'll have to definitely consider the Galaxy Note. But again, it brings us to the question, does Galaxy Grand live up to the hype, and does Galaxy Grand live up to its name as a phablet when compared to the Note 2 as its younger brother? Well, in our opinion, it definitely does, irrespective of all the flaws that we stated, because that's the compromise you get when you pay a lesser price. So this is available for around 35,000 rupees, while this is around just 21,000 rupees. But this is only when you consider Samsung as the only brand that you're going to compare. But if you want to compare other brands, then of course there are better phablets than the Samsung Galaxy Grand. And if you're not looking into investing into the Samsung ecosystem and getting used to all the TouchWiz features, then definitely there are a lot of alternatives with fine screens, like for example the Canvas HD perhaps. So that's about it for the comparison between the Galaxy Note 2 and the Samsung Galaxy Grand Duos. Do like the video if you like this, and do subscribe to our channel for more videos like these. Thanks for watching.